Welcome to the Real Talk Miami. I'm Luis Perez, joined by Javier Gonzalez and Jasmine Muse, three real estate professionals here in the most beautiful city in the world, that is Miami, Florida. On the Real Talk Miami, our goal is to bring you guys the inside scoop on real estate trends, business insights, and financing tips. We want to be your go-to source of knowledge for all things real estate. On this podcast, not only will we be talking amongst ourselves like we're doing here today, but we'll also be interviewing industry leaders and professionals from all walks of life. Real people, real stories, real talk. So now, without further ado, let's get on with the show. How are you guys doing today? What's the weather
Hey
like in
guys.
Miami?
Hello. Excited.
Excited as well, a little bit nervous. First time we do a podcast. I do a podcast myself. It's been a crazy day for myself. How about you, Javier?
Me too.
Luis?
Crazy. A lot of running around.
Running around, right?
Yeah.
That's
It's good to keep busy, you know.
Yeah,
It's,
that was good.
I would rather keep busy than not have anything to do at all. But then
course.
when you're busy, you want to have nothing to do at all. And then when you have nothing to do at all, you want to be busy. So it's like you can't have the best of both worlds. But no, happy to be here today.
Absolutely. So since we're all new here and a lot of people that are going to be watching our show, they're not going to know who we are. I wanted to start it off by first introducing ourselves. So why don't we go ahead and start with you, Jasmine? Tell us
All
a
right.
little bit about yourselves, your experience.
Do you want me to get into why real estate?
Of course,
What are
yeah.
we? Okay. So let's dive into it. So my name is Jasmine Muse. I am a realtor associate at Century 21 Gerard Realty. Got my license after I graduated from high school, so it's gonna be no secret. It'll come out eventually. I am the daughter of the broker and owner of Century 21 Gerard Realty. Many people would say, okay, obviously you're in real estate because of family, but honestly, quite the contrary. So I've always liked real estate. I've always been an entrepreneur, but I was very determined when I graduated high school that I wanted nothing to do with the family business. Not that way, not like I don't want anything to do, but I wanted to do with it eventually, right down the road. Like I wanted to have my own journey, my own story, and I wanted to get experience in what we typically call corporate America. And honestly, it wasn't a bad idea, and I don't think it was a bad idea right now. But I graduated from high school. I got my license because I wanted to already have it under my belt. I went to FIU for my associates and my bachelor's. Well, FIU now calls it the bachelor's, period. So I got my bachelor's in finance, and towards the end of my semester, we all know that, well, we don't know when I graduated, but we all know that 2020 something happened, COVID.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened, I had to start taking all my classes online. So post-COVID, I had been studying from home about a year and a half or so. Post-COVID, the first class that I registered for was a finance course, and the professor towards the end of his class was marketing or promoting another one of his classes that he was going to teach the following semester. That class was going to be about the stock market, and we would be working in teams, in groups of like 5 to 7, I don't really remember. And the point of the class was to work in teams and pitch a stock at the end of the class to a group of investors, so-called investors, because they actually had like an investment fund for FIU. And so I'm not a fan of the stock market, but I was already getting my degree in finance, and I thought to myself, after being a year and a half stuck at home, I might as well embrace working in teams, and I thought it was going to be a good experience. So fast forward, I took the class. I loved the experience, but a lot of the people in the class were very focused on investment banking, private investment, and the truth of the matter is that I never had an idea as to what I wanted to be in life, as funny as it sounds and as horrible. I mean, it's scary to say that,
That's
but that was
everybody in their 20s.
everybody. But you had people, for example, like in high school, I had people that were like, no, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a
Yeah.
lawyer. That was not me.
Yeah, I think that kind of job, the people has it very clear. Once they started, I wanted to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was not me.
Yeah,
And that was scary. Back then it was scary because I'm like, okay, I don't know what I want to do. I like business, I like math, I like numbers, but what am I going to like do once I graduate? So I was very influenced by all of those people around me, by those voices, and kind of in my head I was like, okay, why not give private investment a try? So I got an internship actually at a firm where a previous colleague of mine, or a friend of mine, he had interned for that company. He had great reviews about it. You know, I had a really good experience. So he said, Jasmine, I think you would be a good person for that position. It was a hospitality firm, and I love to travel. I mean, you mentioned a trip to me, and I'm the first person ready to go on vacation with you. So I like business.
Duly noted.
Exactly. So it went together pretty well. And so I got the internship and I liked what it dealt with, but I didn't like what it entailed, what the job consisted of. Maybe it was the time that I interned at that they didn't really give me a full picture of the job. But basically, I was on a computer crunching numbers, and I may not like to record myself, but I am a people person. I like to be out. Basically, what the executives were doing, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to sit behind a desk and crunch numbers on an Excel sheet. So I knew I wanted more than that. So moving forward, I finished the internship, I graduated from my bachelor's, and then I go on to take my master's at FIU as well. And I did my master's in business administration, and towards the end of the master's program, it was a year long, they said, Jasmine, you need to take an internship. So I started researching internship programs, and I was like, there's nothing that really calls to me, nothing that speaks to me. And going back to that internship, it was very corporate America environment. And that last year of my master's, we were going to do a family vacation. And I mean, it's going to sound horrible, but the truth is I wanted to go on my family vacation. And I didn't want to deal with the whole corporate America. You can't do this. You need to be here by this. I didn't like that, right? I wanted to have that flexibility. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I have the office there. I have my license. Let me just intern. It's going to be 3 months max. That was my plan. I was not going to stay longer than that. I don't know who on earth kept me there, what forces kept me there, but long story short, I'm here till this day. I like what I do. I guess sometimes what's meant to be is meant to be, and you can't avoid it. It's inevitable, right? So that's my story, and I honestly think that I made the right decision and that I'm where I'm supposed to be, because I genuinely enjoy my job much more than I've enjoyed any of the other internships that I've done in the past.
It seems like family businesses have a gravitational pull
Yeah.
that attracts people. It's hard to leave once you
family
once you
to the
start.
business.
Yeah, what about you, Javier?
Well, I graduated back in Cuba as an accountant. I'm an accountant, but I've always been a business people. I always like doing business. I don't like 9 to 5. I hate it. Actually, I hate it. I want to own my time. That's actually one of my main goals in life. After that, I got married, and my wife and I we moved to Havana. Started living in Havana, and back there, I met someone. I met someone that introduced me to, let's call it, real estate in Cuba environments. Nothing to do with real estate here in the United States. Nothing to do. But I started doing business. We actually created a website. We did our research. We found that type of property that people don't usually dig too much to find them, because they were like real expensive properties for Havana, not for here, obviously.
Right.
But I started my early steps, for calling it some way, in real estate and in that kind of market. After that, we decided to leave the country. We got here. I got disconnected from that. I actually got disconnected totally from that. And a good friend of mine mentioned the idea: why don't you get the license? Why don't you start working real estate? And I gave a thought about. I've got my license like in 1 month, doing night classes with Gold Coast, and here I am.
Here you are. And I want to just, because I'm curious, when you say that you said like air quotes real estate, like can you like talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, of course. It's really different back in Cuba. You don't have like all the requirements you need to work real estate here in the United States. Mm-hmm. Actually, in Florida, let's talk properly. You don't have the whole requirements, the whole legal stuff, the whole preparation, you don't have that. You just go, I want to go, I want to get a license. Just go, pay for a license, you get a license, you start doing business. But the wrong side of that is that you don't have any legal coverage. Uh-huh. If you, let's say you got a client who wants to sell, you find the buyer, and you successfully close the business, close the deal, and the seller process tells you, I don't want to pay you.
But I'd imagine in Cuba, you're never really like an owner of the property itself, right? Or
Actually, that's a new stuff there, but you do own and you do sell. That's a bit tricky because of
Somewhat fine
yeah.
lines.
It's
Like
It's a
it's a
thin
bit
line.
tricky. It's a bit tricky, but yeah, you're right. But you actually you can sell your property. You can do it,
Interesting.
but it's nothing to do here. You have to study. You have to dig. You have to do your research. You have to do your own diligence, because otherwise you're gonna be blind. You're gonna be jumping in a empty pool.
Yeah, that's true.
So
no, or waiting to get caught because if you do things incorrectly.
actually, I learned a lot back there. I learned a lot. I remember I start walking around dealing with people. It's the same.
It's the
Dealing
same.
with people is the same because you find nice people, you find
Yeah.
not that nice people,
Right.
and you have to learn how to deal with everybody, to treat everybody with respect. And I learned a lot from that time.
It's psychology.
Yeah.
Real estate is
and,
psychology.
I mean, the more
Yeah.
people you talk to, the more encounters you're going to have. So if you talk to 100 people, you'll probably meet 3 or 4 that are not going to be
Yeah.
the nicest. But then, typically speaking, most people want to talk to you. You know, everybody likes talking about real estate because it's a nice thing.
Yeah, of course, it's actually a really attractive, really nice thing.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Me. So we got to go way back. So right now we're in 2024. Let's take it back to 2016. When I first graduated high school, that's when the thought of getting my real estate license actually came to me. But it was between that and insurance. So insurance wasn't my own thing. It was something that was pushed upon me by family, similar to Jasmine. And so ultimately, at that point in time, I ended up choosing the insurance license. I got the 220 insurance license, so that made me eligible to sell auto and home insurance. And I started working for a well-known company here in Miami, Florida. I'm not going to mention who they are. And I was doing that for about 2 years. I wanted to say before I had enough. I said, this is not really what I want to do with my life. It's not something that I was very interested in. Although I will say that in the first 3 months that I was there, I set the record in the office for the most production in 3 months. So
Awesome.
I will say that. So it's kind of like, I guess you could say I'm kind of a natural when it comes to dealing with people. And so I want to say around October, November 2019, so 2.5 years, I left that industry. At the time, I was going to Miami-Dade College. I was working on getting my associate's degree. I signed up for the real estate school. And I got my license in January 2020. So 2020, we all know what happens 2 months later.
Yeah.
COVID-19, the whole economy shut down, and I wasn't really able to do anything. And so I was still going to school at the time, working on getting my bachelor's degree. And I also took part in the class that Jasmine mentioned earlier, which was the Student Managed Investment Fund, headed by Flavio Carrillo. Shout out to Flavio, great professor, great classroom, funny, the funniest teacher I had by far in
It was
school.
a really good. That was
Yeah.
my favorite class of the whole
Yeah.
semester.
That's a
Really
good thing about the teachers. That's funny. They,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
keep
No,
you.
that was-
They keep you focused.
Yeah.
They make it a much more enjoyable. You know, he picked on
Yeah.
everybody, and I love that type of comedy. And so in that classroom, I personally, I've always liked entrepreneurial stuff, and I've always liked investing in the stock market. I still, invest in stock market, crypto, all those things. I like to look into those things. So it was something that was attractive to me, but the career paths themselves, I was always a little bit iffy about them. Because in the classroom, you see that everybody wants to go the same route. As Jasmine mentioned, it was private equity, investment banking,
Banking.
and
Those were the main two.
yeah, those were pretty much the main two. And so, and equity research.
Equity research.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
another one. And so the one that attracted me the most was equity research. I like that one because it has to deal directly with the companies, whereas investment banking is raising money and capital for, investments and stuff like that. So yeah, I did that. And when I graduated, I got an internship at Banco Santander, but I did not last. And it was like you guys mentioned, it seems to be a common theme amongst all of us here is that, we're not made for, I guess you could say, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Even though in real estate you're working 24 hours, at least you control your own time because time is the most important asset that we have. It's not money, it's
You're
not
right.
anything else. It's the time that you have. It's the ability to say, hey, I want to go and take a vacation and I have 10 listings working for me. So, agents are showing the properties for me. That's the beauty that, the real estate industry has. And that is ultimately what really attracted me to the industry as well.
I think you make a point because based on all of our stories, time is definitely like a common factor. Like Javier, you mentioned, yeah, I want to be in control of my time. I didn't
Yeah.
want to work for anyone, something like that. I feel the same way, and I think that in real estate, you work more than the 9 to 5, but you do it because you enjoy it,
Yeah.
not because you're forced to. Real estate is a commission based job. That's not a secret. You are not getting paid a salary, so you need to put in the time that it requires. And oftentimes that's gonna mean working Saturdays, working
Sundays.
working off hours, Monday through Friday. Like, that's nothing new to us. That's not a foreign idea, right? Sometimes you'll get home from work, have dinner, and then you're on your computer again, either working on booking a showing appointment or working on a PowerPoint presentation, in my case, right? So you're working on different things, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it during that 9 to 5 period, right? That's the good thing about real estate, the flexibility. That's what I like. And I think that I have worked much more now than I did when I was going to school and when I did when I was interning at different offices, because I like it and because it comes naturally. There's no one in the office that tells me, hey, Jasmine. Well, technically, me, because I have also like a more managerial role. Technically, I'm there from 10 to 6, but there are nights, plenty of nights, that I stay there until 8 o'clock at night because I'm either answering questions, working with agents, but it's not because anyone's telling me you have to do it. I'm more than happy to stay and do that time. Something that I wouldn't have been so happy to do in another job.
Yeah, in a 9 to
Absolutely.
5.
I don't know if that sounds horrible, but that's the truth, right?
Yeah, it is.
We're working for ourselves.
And sometimes you get home and you get that call when you get home.
Yep.
Somebody calls you, you're spending quality time with your family and all that stuff, and you get a call from a client, in your case, from an agent, sometimes from me. and it's part of what we do.
It's part of the job, right?
Yeah, we have to. That's the time they have to
No, I truly
to
don't-
address the doubts, the
Yeah.
second thoughts, and they have to call you. And we're glad to get the call, to answer the call, maybe 9 p.m., 10 p.m. We have to do
The
it.
thing is, real estate is a 24-hour job.
Yeah.
You don't know, and from the perspective of a transaction, if you're working a transaction, you don't know at what time you're going to receive a call saying, hey, something is wrong, and the deal can very well fall through. So there's no such thing as, yeah, I'll wait until tomorrow morning. Not in real estate. In another industry, fine, but not in real estate.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you, man, I've worked with buyers and I mean, I'm sure we all have buyers and sellers who tell us, yeah, my agent doesn't pick up the phone.
Yeah,
How are you
I don't
in
know.
business? I don't understand how
I
that
don't
works.
understand that.
And in this generation, I'm not surprised by it either, because this generation, and no hate to anyone in this generation, but a lot of people are more of a text person and they don't like picking up the phone and calling. And I'm sorry, but real estate, you need to be on, like, have your phone on you and be ready to pick up a phone call or answer a text message. And that's where you're going to find nowadays a lot of people that don't answer the phone.
No, and I've been complimented personally, by clients who tell me, the way you pick up the phone is, not anybody does that.
Breath of fresh air.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you doing, sir? Those type of things, it goes a long way because they're accustomed to, hello, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
kind of
that's
call.
me. That's my listing, yeah. So, they see that you're polite, they see that the way that you work, and so it makes people feel more comfortable working with you as well.
Now you mentioned that, one of my first experiences when I got a license, I had a client asking for a rent, and I made like 1,000 calls. I called a few listing agents. I call owners or people that were renting on their own, and you get that kind of call.
Yeah.
People answer, yeah, that's me. Are you not interested in selling? Are
Right.
you not interested in doing business? So
Yeah, but that's what you're going to find in this business.
yeah,
And
we find it every day.
people like us that are willing to take that, because really it's given in the type of work that we do in our line of job, real estate, 24 hours, but you're gonna have your exceptions. So people like us that are willing to go the extra mile really and be available when you need to be available, that makes you stand out in really a crowd of licenses, because you can have your license. Anyone can get their license, really. I mean, there are certain requirements, but it's very minimal. You can pass a test, but at the end of the day, once you step out of, for example, Gold Coast, that vocational school with your license, it's a whole nother world. So it's really gonna make it or break it, how you deal with these clients. And real estate is a word of mouth business.
Absolutely.
The better you do, the more business you're gonna get. It's a lot of referral. I think you guys can speak onto that referral basis
Absolutely.
and the pros of that.
Absolutely. And that leads into the next question. The company that we work with,
Yeah.
Century 21, well known in more than 86 countries, 14,000 offices worldwide. Aside from that, what is it that attracted you guys into the industry? I'll start off with, you, Javier.
Well, for me, real estate, it's about life project. Whether you're working with a investor, whether you're working with a family that wants a home, whether you're working with whatever you find, it's a life project. You don't buy a house like you buy not even a car. You can buy a car you can sell tomorrow like this. You don't buy a house lightly. You do not take it lightly. So for me, when somebody goes to you and tells you, I need help finding a proper home, like just today, there's those people I was talking with. That's like an invitation to their personal lives,
Yeah.
and I have to take that very seriously, because if that fails, if that goes out and goes wrong, and we're not talking about cancellation of the deal. We're not. We are talking about people not making with the money, something like that. That's going to be a huge failure for that family, for that investor, and that's a huge responsibility. That's why, for me, real estate is like a life project, working for family buyers or investors or whatever. So going back to Century 21, once I got my license here, I started to look around for brokers. I started walking around. I got out of the job, and I walk around, made some calls, and I actually ran into pretty good offices. I walked into the pretty good offices. But once I got to meet you, that day was like I got the right place. I got that.
Once she gets her hands on you,
You're not gonna escape.
My
That.
sales task.
they call you every three hours.
No, but seriously, I sat on the table. I was like this.
Had he
what
not
am
signed,
I?
I would have followed up with him. Hey, Javier, how's it going? This is Jasmine from Century 21 to our Realty.
I got a lot of those calls, even today, from other offices. But that's another.
We have training today at 6 p.m.
Yeah, and once I get there, once I met you, once I met your Jose Luis, once I met you too, once I met the people in the office, I felt like home. I felt like comfort. I don't feel like the other offices have stepped in, and there's a new guy.
Yeah.
And you walk by the door, and everybody looks at you like this. And
It's
so
a
I didn't get
familiar
that.
business.
I didn't get that. Once I get that, and that's why I was looking for that quality, that for calling it some way. That kind of people that you can trust, kind of people that you can feel like home, that you can, like we were talking about, you can call 9, 10 p.m. and ask a question. Jasmine, what do you think about this? Luis, what do you think? I got this guy.
Yeah.
Or, that's what made me to make the choice to pick Century 21 and pick Century 21 Dora
Dora
Realty.
Realty. No, thank you. I want to piggyback on that because that's really nice to hear, and that honestly, that makes me happy because hey, I'm doing my job correctly. I think our office, and not because it's in the family business, I think that speaks a lot to how our office operates. We're not your typical, how do I explain this? So we're a Century 21 branch office, right? So we have the name recognition and the tools and the resources of a name brand, right? Not only are we recognized locally, we're recognized nationally and internationally, which I think is a very big advantage.
Yeah.
But then I like to say that we have the attention, that we cater to our agents in a very niche way, which is a very big difference from other offices. I had an agent this week that affiliated with Century 21 Dora Realty. She came from another office. And funny enough, I'm going to mention this story because I feel like it relates to you. You felt at home. The environment wasn't like, oh, that's a new guy. So whenever we have these like interviews and these conversations, to see if we're a right fit for each other, I typically keep it very professional. That's who I am, how I like to conduct myself. We sit down at the table, and I will never mention that I'm part of the family of Century 21 Dora Realty. I'm always the career coordinator or an associate. And this lady, as we're talking, Jose Luis comes into the office, we have a conversation, and he says, oh yeah, because this is my daughter. And right off, I talked about the name. She was in love with Century 21. We talked about training. We talked about the support. Everything was sounding good to her, but there was something that was kind of like, there was some hesitation to sign with our office. And as soon as he said that, I don't know why, but I guess it was like a breath of fresh air because she liked the sound of working for a family office. To her, it sounded like, okay, I like the type of people that I'm going to be working with. Not working for, you're working with, because in a real estate office, you need to surround yourself with people that are going to help you. At the end of the day, you're a team, right? Associates, the office staff, you work together because you're working for the same goal to get stuff done.
No,
So
in
it's
that
nice.
office, we also have people who've been there for 20,
30 years. And now that you mention
Yeah.
that, it's not just the staff that you can come and ask questions to you. It's that type of environment where, hey, Louis, like, I have a question. Can you help me? Perfect. Or, hey, George, I have a question. Can you help me? And anyone in that office is willing and able to help you.
More than willing.
Yeah, more than willing to help you. There's no sense of competition. I mean, there is competition, like, in a healthy way to motivate each other. Like, hey, I got this listing. Okay, boom, now I feel motivated. Oh, let me try and do a better job or stuff like that. But it's all healthy. It's not that type of stuffy environment. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. No, and it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear from one of the agents as well. Yeah, thank you, Javier.
My pleasure.
Well, me personally, I started off at a 100% commission brokerage. It was one of my friend's dad's brokerage. I'm not going to name it either. And yeah, it was good, but I mean, it was just me and him. There wasn't anybody there. And I kind of found it hard to kind of get momentum going because I didn't really know what I was doing. Not to mention the fact that unfortunately COVID-19 happened just around the same exact time I got my license. So it was kind of impossible for me to get running in that company. But yeah, I ended up choosing Century 21 for the exact same reasons that you guys mentioned. It's a huge brand. It's better than, for example, Pepe y Marta's real estate brokerage office in the corner gas station. You know what I'm saying? It's a company that's been around for more than 50 years. Our office in particular has been around
Next
for
year's going to be our 50th year anniversary with
Oh.
Century 21.
50th year.
50,
Yeah, 50 years.
50 years.
We-
And we've always been with Century 21 because we like the
Yeah.
brand and the values that they have.
We gotta tag Century 21 in the videos. So we can
At
send us
Century
something.
21.
It's
Oh, we will.
50 years. Come on, man. That's a long time.
50 years.
And so yeah, for those same exact reasons, you have the backing of the biggest real estate company in the world, 86 countries, 14,000 offices worldwide, the best training there is by far.
Yeah,
Every
actually.
Tuesday and Thursday in our office in particular, we have trainings, but they also offer
And those are in
trainings-
person because
yeah.
we have more trainings than that.
Exactly. They have trainings online in the C21 University that we
C21
partake in as well.
University, we do virtual Zooms
do
on
virtual
Wednesdays
Zoom.
and Mondays. I mean, there is no excuse.
Yeah,
Like, more than enough.
In an
training.
office like this one, there is no excuse. And, you know, we're doing other things right now. We're collaborating with other countries
in
as
Latin
well.
America. Yeah.
It's hard to do that with a smaller time brand. And so that benefits also people who are selling their home as
course.
well. You
The
have
exposure.
exactly the
That's
exposure.
a huge one.
Century 21's website alone has about 3 to 4 million monthly visitors. You know, in comparison to Zillow and other websites, obviously is not the same. But you know, we've gotten leads from the listings that we have in our office from people all around the world who are interested in buying and investing here in Miami, Florida. So that's an advantage that we get to offer. Home sellers as well as buyers. We can help buyers because the knowledge that we have in comparison to other brokerages is immense.
Yeah.
So those are really the key things that I would say attracted me to the Century 21 brand.
So support.
Yeah,
support really and name
coaching,
recognition.
support. Yeah,
And no matter how you put it, really, our office has name recognition both locally and then also name recognition in terms of the brand itself,
Yeah.
right? Because Century 21 has been around for more than 70 years, right? So everybody, like Louis was
still
saying,
70.
No, you're right. We have been around for more than
Oh,
50
okay,
years.
okay, I got it
Century
wrong.
21 has been around for more than 70
Dang.
years. So you have experience, you have wisdom on both sides of the coin, however you want to put it, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about the brand, more than 70 years of experience, it's like, and let's talk in terms of like food franchises. It's like saying McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
I know who McDonald's is. I don't know who XYZ is.
Yep.
I know who Century 21 is. I don't know who XYZ is, right? So it makes a difference. And then when we talk on a local level, right? Everybody knows what office is on Coral Way because maybe they don't know the name by heart, but they definitely know the real estate office that has a Century 21 Gerard Realty
Yeah.
sign. And I'm sure that there are millions of people that pass the Coral Way Street back and forth to and from work. They know about us because we've been a local establishment for more than 50 years. So I think that name definitely helps. And then like I said, that training, the support that you receive in the office, I think all of that plays a role into why agents choose our office and why they choose to be a part of Century 21.
A little off topic. You mentioned McDonald's. I saw a post today on Instagram. McDonald's, I believe, has 30,000 franchises.
Wow. And their business, their main business is real estate. It's
Real
not
estate
the
as well.
it's the
They
real
own
estate.
a lot of buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
Real estate.
Have you
So
guys watched
we're
the
halfway
movie?
through. We're halfway through.
Have you guys watched the movie, the McDonald's movie with Michael Keaton?
Yes, I
That's
watched
a
it.
really good.
No,
You
I
haven't
didn't.
watched it, have
No,
you?
I have to check that one.
That is a very good movie. I mean, it's intense because he was not Michael Keaton, but like the person that actually
Yeah.
took McDonald's to another level. Very intense person. I feel bad for the brothers, but no, definitely a very good movie that you have to watch. And good point. McDonald's, half of their business is real estate.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
anyways, I think that then would leave us to the next question, which is, we like where we're at, we like what we do, but then why take some time out of our schedule to start a podcast? So what are your thoughts and ideas?
That's a nice one.
But I think we have to share
Yeah.
with the audience, why are we here, right? What do we have to offer, and why did we decide to offer?
Well,
Perfect one for this.
Javier?
Start.
I have a little bit of background, sound producing, a little bit of sound, light, some video, not too much video, but some. And once I get my license, the main thing in real estate, besides all preparation and all that, is that people find out about you. Because if people can't find you, so there's not too much way to do business. So I was thinking one day, I was, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do to get to know more people, to get to more people, to give people the information they need, the information they want, the ideas, the suggestions, all that. And that came to my mind. I say, let's do a podcast. Back in Cuba, actually, going back, it wasn't a podcast because it wasn't all like this that you guys cannot see behind the cameras, but there's a lot of stuff. You only can see the mics, but there's a lot of stuff back there. So I did it like a podcast. It was more like a television show. I had a little bit of background, and I said, why can we do that as an office? And I came to the idea with Jasmine, and she said, let's do it.
I remember. I mean, I wasn't given much of a choice because, an agent comes to you and like, hey, let's do this. So let me tell you, let's go back a little bit in history
Yeah.
because this was not the first time that I heard those words coming out of someone's mouth. Louis over here gave that idea to me a year and a half ago. So I'm a people person and I like to talk, but I do not like to hear myself on recording, and I don't like to hear myself, and I don't like to watch myself. So when he presented that idea, I was already like, no, Louis, no, Louis. But I mean, he was really passionate about it, and I was like, you know what, a visionary. And then you take it off from there, and then I'll connect both.
But yeah, I mean, to clarify, it's not that I'm passionate about,
But you had a vision.
I guess
You knew
it's
where it could lead.
It's a vision, exactly, because these type of things, they start off small until they aren't, and you start to reach a big audience.
Yeah.
And we start to share our knowledge of the real estate industry. Like I said in the beginning, our goal here is give you insights in real estate business as well as financing, and so you get to reach a huge amount of people. You get to share it, and they get to share it with their friends as well, and all those things, as well as the networking ability. You could get somebody very important to come into the room, sit down with you, and talk important things, and from there, business is made. Those are some of the things that obviously attracted me, to starting up the podcast as well.
Yeah, and I think that now that you mentioned like bringing people, I think something that's cool about podcasts, even though I was like a little bit afraid to do it, but I think something that's really neat about podcasts is that you have the opportunity to invite speakers
Yeah.
that have possibly more knowledge than us in certain fields
Yeah,
or in certain
of
industries. And that's important because I've always been a firm believer that you can't be the smartest person in the room. You shouldn't be.
You
Not to
shouldn't
say that you're not smart, but
Yeah.
you should always surround yourself with people
Absolutely.
that are going to constantly push you to be better, and learn new things from them. So I think that's something that I'm really excited for. But fast forward, we kind of did a little attempt in the conference room at the office with the podcast. I mean,
Yeah.
there was not nearly half of the equipment that's in this room. By the way, this podcast is sponsored by Century 21 Dura Realty and Lion Plumbing. Big shout out to Lion Plumbing as well. Yeah,
Big shout out to Lion
very
Plumbing,
big sponsors.
Alfredo Lopez, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you so
Alfredo
much for the
Lopez,
help.
Lion Plumbing. And we'll probably bring them over here
We will.
to interview, in the podcast. But we did a little trial, a few trials. There was not half as much equipment as there is today. The quality was so, and long story short, it kind of ended there. There were other things that took priority in the office. Fast forward to Javier. I remember, I think it was a Friday because you were doing floor
How many
time.
months?
I don't know, like about 6 months.
Yeah,
it's
I
taken a
was
very
thinking
long-
about that.
The idea,
I was
think
thinking
it's
about that. How many months since we
started-
decided to do this?
April.
About 6 months.
To bring everything together is has taken a lot of time.
It started in April because this whole
Oh,
thing.
you remember?
Yeah, it was April. But I actually started thinking
remembers. He
about
has a
that
very good
myself. I
memory.
was like, damn, man, it's been a while. But they remodeled this entire warehouse. This is not.
Yeah, they
this
did.
wasn't here before. These couches weren't here. This is something completely.
Hey, everything's
new.
brand spanking new.
We bought the equipment, they remodeled everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so definitely wouldn't be here without them today. But talking about the podcast, I remember that day when Javier mentioned it to me. He goes, Jasmine, come here. And I was like, okay, do. I don't know what he was going to ask. And then he says, why haven't you guys done a podcast? I was like, no, it's not that we haven't. We already tried. And he's like, I think I want to do a podcast. And I remember him mentioning Lewis's name, like, okay, like I want to talk to Lewis. But I was like, okay, that's great. Like, we'll talk to Lewis. And yeah, let's set up a meeting.
Divine
Obviously,
intervention.
yeah, divine intervention. Like I said, funny enough, again, everything happens for a reason. There's always a reason behind everything. And I think you're always where you're at when you're supposed to be at that place. That sounds like a tongue twister, but yeah. So we met in the conference room with Jose Luis, and we just started talking about the podcast. And from there, the rest is history. But something that I wasn't in favor of doing. Look, I'm sitting here in the couch and I'm doing it with you guys. But yeah, that's how everything came about. I don't know if you guys have any other details that I'm missing.
now that you mentioned, once I got on board with this project, and I said with my wife, I said, what did I do? What do I do?
Huh?
So
Because I got scared. What if I fail? What if something goes wrong? What if I don't know? I'm not prepared enough. Because back there in Cuba, I have a pretty good knowledge about sound, because that's like my field, for calling it some way. But lights,
Okay.
video, that's a whole new
You're
deal.
the behind the scenes.
Yeah,
Not
that's
the
a
in
whole
front of the
that's
camera.
the whole new deal, and I got scared someday. I was thinking, what do I did?
I
What
just
did I
don't-
got into?
I just don't think that maybe. Well, I'm actually curious to hear. Did you think that it would ever get to this scale?
Actually, I didn't. I had something on my mind that I was like playing around. Goes backwards, and I was like, what are we gonna do? Where are we going with the podcast? Thanks God, I have pretty much good friends. You guys have the opportunity to meet them. They have helped us a lot with lights, with video, with sound
Very
too.
big help.
And we are thankful for that, because we wouldn't be sitting right here
Yeah.
with the quality, with the setup, with the proper setup. Because, like I said, I'm a sound guy. I'm not a video guy. I'm not a lights guy. But I met some nice people, and they were good enough to help us to get here.
I think it's surpassed our expectations.
Definitely. This thing took off, and it's gonna take off even more. Next week, who are we gonna be interviewing?
Well, I believe we're going to be interviewing Jose Luis Muse, owner and broker of Century 21 Dura Realty. That's going to be a very interesting episode. You'll get to tune into how Century 21 Dura Realty came about, how he started his career. So a lot of good stuff coming on to the next episode. And from there on, we'll always be bringing you the latest information, professionals as well, or sometimes we'll be talking amongst ourselves, but a lot of good info to come.
Yeah, news, what's new in the industry, what's new maybe on some market excited, and we decide to like do some research.
Yeah. In real estate, you do not run out of things
No,
to talk
that's
about.
no way.
This podcast is going
There's
to
no
be
way.
heaven sent for all of you guys who like real estate, who like investing, who are interested in buying, selling, or getting into the industry as well and joining our office. This is the place to be, the Real Talk Miami. Send it off.
I mean, I think so. I think the only thing that I want to add is we invite you to subscribe to our channel and post your questions. If there's any topic that interests you that you think would benefit you, that you're curious to learn about, feel free to put it in the description, in the caption, whatever you call those boxes. We want you to feel like you're a part of this journey with us and a part of our conversation as well.
Perfect.
That's a
That's
good
it.
idea.
Well, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed and stay tuned for the next
Thank you.
episode.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.